What's happening, everybody? So, I want to talk specifically about the 392 Hemi for this video. And the reason why I want to focus on this, number one, hey, it's what's sitting right behind me. And two, this was a little bit spurred on by a discussion that I had, although relatively brief, with a viewer. Jet Tech 1966, this one's for you. The reason why I like the 392 so much, and why I feel like it is the most special large displacement Hemi that Mopar has ever produced, and probably ever will if you believe the rumors that these engines are going to be canceled around 2018, 2019. Look, back when Hemi meant nothing but wide open throttle horsepower and dominance either in NASCAR or in drag racing, one engine was the Hemi. I mean, it was the Hemi, the 426 cubic inch bad boy on the block. And that was it. It was homologated for that purpose in small numbers with the solid lifter Super Commando, which made a ton of power. But for street use, you had the street Hemi. And that is the Hemi that people will always refer to. But it was in very limited numbers that it was produced. You know, a grand total of around 10 or 11,000. And that's it. Well, if you fast forward to today, you've got the 392 Hemi. Well, how does it stack up? Well, there's really no good way to compare the two. You're talking about a limited production Hemi from the 1960s that was, frankly, really only good at one thing, and that was hauling ass. But if you took that engine, the street Hemi, retrofitted it with a solid lifter cam, better spring pack, different intake manifold and carburetors, you took something that was more or less a shade tree job over the weekend, and you've turned an engine that was around 425 horsepower into something that was around, I don't know, 570, 590 horsepower. That's the beauty of the modern Hemis as well. Even though they are rated at 485, you've got to remember what that rating is set at. That rating is a modern SAE rating. The older SAE rating would be about 4% higher than what the modern SAE rating is. And by that standard, it sets the tone of around 505 horsepower as an SAE rating. Gross horsepower? It's tough to say because gross horsepower can encompass various different testing models, but add another 10% to that and you'll be fairly close. So, 535, 545, it's tough to say, but that gets you those numbers that you can compare those engines to. But the difference is that we've got mass quantities of 392s running around out there. And they're in all kinds of things. They're not just in, a specific coupe that you might find them in back in the day, like a Coronet, Challenger, Cuda, something along those lines. You've got them in Challengers, you've got them in the Chargers, you've got them in the Jeep. So yeah, you've got a lot of different areas to find them, and they sold very, very well. The issue with the Hemi is that back in the day, it just didn't sell well. Not only was it a little bit more expensive than getting a big block option, but it just didn't have the street manners that the large 440 had. Well, the modern 392 doesn't suffer from any of that. It has fantastic drivability, gets reasonably good gas mileage, and it's powerful. It's better than the original 426 in every possible measure that you could find. So think of it like this. You've got an opportunity, if you're a Mopar guy, to not only relive the glory years of that 426 Hemi, you've got something now that is not only better in terms of making actual horsepower, but it's better at everything else under the sun. It's like having your cake and eating it too. And let me give you an idea of what kind of power that we're talking about. And if you've got one of those ET to horsepower calculators or mile per hour to horsepower calculators, here's some data for you. My car with me in it weighs 4,495 pounds. Thing is heavy. It went, and I still can't believe this number, it went an uncorrected 1160 at 117 miles per hour. Now, that's in a fantastic DA. The corrected number is an 1170 at 116 miles per hour. That power plant is able to propel almost 4,500 pounds from a dead stop to 1,320 feet in 11.6 seconds at 116 miles per hour. That's saying a lot. Show me another engine that can do that, naturally aspirated, that is more or less stock. I mean, it's not like this car's got an aftermarket camshaft. It does not have an aftermarket torque converter. It doesn't really have anything aftermarket aside from the cat delete. And I've already proven that, yeah, the cat delete was worth maybe a couple of tenths and maybe a couple of miles per hour. So take that into the equation, back math it, and let me know what kind of horsepower that calculator comes out. Now, take that number, take about, I'd say about 5% off of that just to correct and kind of make the number a little bit softer, just because, I don't know, I like to be a little bit more conservative, and that's what that 392 is capable of. And I feel like, when guys are looking at the 392 cars, I don't think you're seeing just how special that car really is, or at least that power plant really is. And it's tough to really wrap your arms around it when you have the Hellcat looming over you. Yeah, I know, it's a lot more powerful, but it's also got a supercharger hanging off the top of it. And that, to me, I don't know. It doesn't mean the same. It's one of those types of deals where I have a naturally aspirated engine that is pushing this much mass that fast down a quarter mile, does it as consistent as the sun rises. I mean, I've said it so many times, I think I'm sick of hearing myself say it. It's like working in a laboratory with this car. So all of that taken into account, that 392 that you've got in your car, have a lot of pride in that thing. It is, in my opinion, the absolute best American V8 made. And yeah, I know the guys out there will say LS, LS, LS. Well, look, yeah, I love the LS platform, but to me, the LS isn't special. The 392 is. Why is it? Because Mopar, that's why. Let me know what you guys think. Adios.